Hello and welcome to Typebook. We are Chris and Rose, INTJ and INFJ, and we are cataloging a variety of people based on their Jungian psychological types and their MBTI four-letter abbreviations. Please subscribe to our channel and like our videos so you can support the work we are doing here. Today we are taking a look at James Acaster.
Okay, and I have a cold, so that's why I am like this. Even more monotone than my usual self. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
So I kind of had to say yes because I told them I wanted to do stand-up. And then I turned up and there was me and two other students and one guy who was teaching us who was originally, I think he was an open spot and never got past being an open spot and quit and hadn't done comedy for a long time. But he turned up with beers and just drinking to himself. He didn't share them. He'd kind of be a little bit more pissed each week. And he would just say, right, you get up and do 5 minutes of comedy. So he didn't really give us any advice.
Just a chance.
But he would just say, you get up and do that. So you'd have to go away and write like 5 or 10 minutes every week and come back, and then you'd have to perform it to 3 people in a little room. And then at the end we did a gig. I was still in the band at the time, and what I really wanted to do was the band, so I wasn't doing this for a serious thing. And I did that gig, and it was really fun. The whole audience were really encouraging us because we were open spots.
All right, let's start.
Gigs.
So they say this guy is an ENFP. And this interview, it's a bit more him, I think. And again, it's an example of someone is doing a comedic act in which they exaggerate themselves. It's very similar to what happens with Aubrey Plaza, because again, she's an ISTP,
Right.
and they say that she's an INTP or an ENTP.
INTP, yeah.
Because, she's so crazy and she's so awkward, right? But it is kind of like an act. And ISTP seems to be good at doing this act, because go watch James Acaster, he's exactly the same.
And he reminds me of this YouTuber that used to make a lot of MBTI type skit content.
Yes, him.
Yep, he's very much like him. All right.
Right, let's go again then. 3, 2, 1, go.
And so because I enjoyed it, every now and again, like every 4 months, I'd book myself in a stand-up comedy gig and go and do it just to give myself that, just like the adrenaline of it. And also, because I didn't care about it, I would more often than not do well because I didn't. I was making a lot of it up on the spot and going up on stage and not caring. I think I had 2 real nightmare gigs during I did about 12 gigs over 3 years or something like that, of 2 years, and had 2 really humiliating, awful ones, and the rest of them were kind of fine. And then when the band stopped, I just decided I'd do stand up in the meantime. I didn't want to do it as a job. I wanted to do it, while I figured out what I really wanted to do, and. What was great about it was that I could just do gigs all the time. So when you say what kept me in it is with the band, it would take ages to book a gig and get gigs, and we would get 1 a week if we were lucky because there wasn't so many bands and so few gigs. And with comedy, there's so few comedians and loads of gigs, and also the gigs would have 15 acts on when you're an open spot. So I just discovered that I could fill my diary and be gigging all the time. And even though I wasn't sure I really liked it, I didn't like the feeling of not knowing what I was doing. I used to know what I was doing when I was playing the drums in the band, but I didn't know what I was doing with this. And even though a lot of it I was like, I don't want to do this for a job, definitely not. But I really enjoyed being able to go out, do gigs all the time, write new material all the time and stay out on the night if I wanted to. I didn't have to rely on anyone else. I didn't have to write a drum beat and hope the guitarist has come up with a new guitar riff that day. I could just do that. So all of it was quite And also, I could go and do a bad gig and come home, and it wouldn't be that thing. When you're in a band, you're in the car on the way home.
Yeah, he seems very comfortable with just kind of going with something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be any kind of preconceived plan. He's pretty good at coming up with something on the fly.
Yeah, I think that's what he's known for with his comedy, really.
Right.
It's random, and the way he relays stories. He says it in a really an odd P kind of type way. That's really amusing.
Yeah, and I think
I've got a friend like this too. but he's actually an ENTP, and he relays things in the same way. It's almost like a back to front, but then forward again, and then you're trying to follow the story. It's not like linear, and that's kind of what makes it funny, because you're like, wait a minute, what? You said the guy did this, and then you did that. What happened in between, and this and that? How'd you get to that stage? And they're just their reaction to it, and the way he relays it and says things. It's funny.
Yeah, and that's TI, really. In fact, I think someone in one of our comments had pointed that out in another video we had done with the TI user, that it's kind of like back to front.
Yeah. I feel like he knows that, and then he like hypes it and exaggerates it and almost like formulates it in a thinkerish kind of way with his TI dominance.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Or being like you booked the gig and everyone else is pissed off because it was awful. Whereas when you're stand-up, you're just like, yeah, that was shit. And then you go home on your own and you're not whinging at yourself, you know. And so I kind of thought, I like doing that. And I like the fact I can just do it all the time. And then after about a year and a half, I decided, actually, I'd like to do this as a job. But it took me a year and a half to go. I enjoy it.
This is what I want to commit to. And
yeah, I think I'd got enough of an idea of how to do stand-up by that point that I was enjoying it.
Did it change your approach to it when it suddenly became, okay, this is going to be my job now?
Yeah.
Did it affect the way that you then approached gigs or writing material or?
Well, yeah, because actually the first gig the first gig after the band had stopped. So I said that, you know, the gigs had gone quite well before that when I didn't care. As soon as I cared, I died horrifically every single time. So like, yeah, as soon as I cared about it and was actually writing material and not improvising, I was just going and, you know, I'd walk on stage and try hard and fail and get nothing. So as soon as I cared about it, it was going worse.
All right, let's stop.
We were talking about the...
Yeah, so that's interesting. So when he didn't care and was just more laid back in the whole thing, he felt like he did better. But when he had to actually make a plan and adhere to that, then he was struggling.
Yeah. I feel like SE does excellently in this regard.
Yes.
I think it's why a lot of chef types are SE types, because they can improvise and they love it, and it's fine.
But for him, I think having then the knowledge that, you know, I have to do this every night, it kind of takes the freedom away. You know, it takes away that spontaneity a little bit.
Right, because it's like an everyday thing now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Like and subscribe. And do it again. Maybe unsubscribe and unlike and then do it again, just so you get that feeling.
Oh, good.
Okay. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, go.
The fact that you changed slightly when you cared about, you know, it becoming your job. Do you think that the audiences could kind of read maybe more tension about it, or a less relaxed demeanour on stage? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I was definitely less relaxed, so that would have definitely fed into it. It was because I suddenly wanted, I thought, if this is what I'm doing now, even if I'm only doing it for a while, I want it to be as good as possible, whereas before I didn't care if it was good or not. So I was just going on and saying whatever, and, you know, anything for an easy laugh and stuff like that. Whereas when I started trying to get the other sorts of laughs that I thought had more value to them, it was really difficult. So I think, I was struggling more, and I was like, I'm now trying to be better than I am, you know. Yeah. So like it was quite difficult, and they can probably tell when you're not comfortable, or they can kind of just tell when something doesn't suit you, you know, and you're not really, you know, doing the kind of material that suits your persona, and they can tell that, audiences, I think.
If you find that comic voice,
all right, let's stop.
Does that?
Okay.
So he's saying that he could feel the audience's reaction.
Yeah, I think they do like authenticity.
Right. But my point is that this is probably what makes these SEFE types so good in these situations, because
why they tailor make them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like they know what the crowd wants and they tailor it to that. And I think ISTPs in comedy. Wow, that would be a great. That's a
Yeah,
great type in
it's a good
comedy. Mm-hmm.
that's a good combination of thoughtfulness and spontaneity and feeling the
Right.
room as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's important, and that's kind of
And quickness too. I mean,
venue.
ISTP can be incredibly quick because they are thinking dominant.
To support our project, please comment, like, and subscribe. We want to encourage a dialogue in the comments, so substantiated disagreement is welcome. Check out the playlist for this type and our recommended video below. If there's someone you want us to type, please leave a comment for us. Or you can look into our fast track system to find out how you can get your favorite people typed sooner.